Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you both for joining us in the November Respiratory Department meeting. We have a special guest from Environment of Care, Lorraine. She will be presenting, I think, right out the gate since Dale has not joined quite yet. We'll go ahead and start off with a brief reflection and then head straight over to you, Lorraine. Okay.
Great.
All right. So this is a reflection. It's actually a quote from Kierkegaard, Søren Kierkegaard. Very simple during this holiday season. Just please remember to don't forget to love yourself. All right. Hey, Dale, thanks for joining. Okay, so our agenda, we'll start off with some updates from Dale. Then we'll go to you, Lorraine, for an update from the Environment of Care Department Safety Update Announcement. We'll go over again some hanging topics with accounting, infection prevention, RT equipment, what's going on with team, unit-based practice council update. I don't believe we have a member of them on for this meeting, but I can speak to what they have been working on recently. Employee satisfaction, the upcoming survey, and going over questions from the My Voice survey earlier. Scanning scores, some new positions that are coming up, kudos, and then open forum and questions. So without any further ado, I'll go ahead and open the floor to you, Dale, for some updates.
Thanks. Hello, everybody. Just a couple of updates. Patient experience. We, on the inpatient side, we are at the 51st percentile on a goal of 43 and a max goal of 45. So we're doing very well. ED is at the 44th percentile on a goal of 35. So doing very well there. We've continued to reach out to everybody regarding the flu and the fit testing and TB. So just please make sure that if you haven't gotten that done already, I believe RT is good. I don't think there's anybody else we're worried about for RT. The only other thing, COVID clinic. Our last COVID clinic will be this Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Gina and myself will be giving COVID boosters. They are the Pfizer boosters. We'll be giving those 3 to 5. This is our 4th and last flu clinic. After Friday, you'll need to, if you still want to get a booster and you weren't able to get it during our offerings, you can still make an appointment with Employee Health on Mondays, Wednesdays, or Fridays. And then we've had a really good turnout with the COVID clinics. We've given probably about 30 vaccines each time we've done the clinic. And then, of course, we've had people making appointments. As far as Common Spirit updates, the only real update is the market president positions are now posted. So these positions, as I had mentioned on previous meetings, we are the California region, but because California is so large, we actually have markets. And so there will be a market president that does not have a hospital. And so the hospital presidents will actually report into this market president role. So those are posted and then they'll be interviewing and getting those filled probably likely Q1 of next year. As far as budget, year to date, productivity on a goal of 100% productivity, we're at 104. An overtime goal of 2%, we're at 2.93. So we have a little bit of work to do there. Our EBITDA, which is our expenses before income, depreciation, and amortization, taxes, fees, all that. Our goal was 949,000 EBITDA, and we actually ended the month at a little over 1 million in EBITDA, so that was good. Our average daily census was up. I mean, this is October, mind you, we haven't gotten November's yet. But our average daily census in October was up. Our payer mix was fair. We saw an increase in Medicaid mix. Our salaries and benefits, that was slightly up for the month. Our cap expense, which are those are the folks that we take risk for. So if you hear the word cap, those are our patients that the clinic typically has, but we take risk because they're our patients, so they would be seen at the clinic, and then we would also care for them here at the hospital. That was a little unfavorable. Supply expenses was favorable, so we did well in terms of managing our supplies, and then purchase services was favorable. So overall, we had a good month. That's pretty much the updates that I have, unless there's any questions. But just a couple of updates this time. Unless there's Brian, is there anything else you wanted me to cover?
No, that's great, Dale. Thank you.
Alrighty, well, I will see you guys. You have your next one tonight at 8, right?
Yes.
Okay, I will see you guys then tonight.
Awesome. Thank you,
Bye,
Dale.
everybody.
Bye, Dale.
Bye.
All right. We'll now open the floor to you, Lorraine, for environment of care update, please.
Perfect. Do you mind if I share? Brian? Can you hear me?
Yes, no problem. Let me.
If it's if it's too
Nope.
much, okay.
There we go. Are you able to share?
No.
Not yet. How about now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So can you guys see the flyer that I have posted up here?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm just
Yes.
going to quickly run through it. And I've asked Brian to go ahead and email it out to you guys. They're just reminders of things that we regularly go over with everyone, just as a reminder. And a couple of things that we wanted to really focus on for our PIs this year. So the first thing we really are wanting to work with is everyone on the active shooter code silver processes. We were for our PI, we were wanting to go to all the different units and kind of find good safe spots that were better places to choose if you had to stay in the department and there was an active shooter. Since you guys are everywhere, it's kind of more of just knowing what to look for wherever you are. So the focus would probably be to find a room that is lockable, that is maybe has big equipment in it that you could push in front of the door. You want to barricade, that sort of thing. Stay low to the ground. But first of all, try to escape. It would be the very best choice and the very best option to be able to just run and escape out of the building altogether, leave the situation, because we're going to need all hands on deck once it's over with if something like this were to occur. So you have to save yourself. Otherwise, we won't have you to help save others. So it's really important that you do your best to get out of the area if there was an active shooter to come in. If they cannot, like I was talking about, hide anywhere you can to protect yourself. You just want to stay out of line of sight. You want to be protected as much as possible. Stay low to the ground. Don't remember that bullets do go through walls, no matter what movies show you, and that you just want to try and stay away as far away as possible. If in the event that you cannot run and you cannot hide, and you make the personal choice to fight, you need to do whatever is possible to protect yourself and take out the shooter. That is what I am telling everyone. Just make sure that you use whatever's in your area as a weapon to protect yourself. We have fire extinguishers. Listen, those things are heavy. They can do some damage. You have scissors, we have pins, we have lots of things at our disposal that we don't look at as weapons because we use them as tools. But use whatever you have available to do whatever you have to protect yourself. The other main focus we're trying to tell everybody is if an active shooter did come in, we want to call the police as soon as possible, make the overhead announcement, do all of those things. But remember that when the police do come in, they're not coming in to help us per se. They're coming in to stop that shooter. So they're not going to talk to you. They're going to yell at you. They're going to tell you, they're going to scream directions at you, either to go somewhere or to do something, things of those natures. Make sure to leave everything behind, because you want to run out of the building, or you want to go where they tell you to go with your hands up so they can see that you don't have a weapon. They don't know that you're not the shooter. So you want to make sure that you have, that you're able to show them as much as possible that you're doing what they're telling you to do and you do not have the weapon. So just reiterating those, run, hide, fight, and to make your way out of the building as quickly as possible with your hands up in the air, showing that you're doing what they're telling you to do. So active shooter, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. If somebody starts shooting in any of your areas, just find a safe spot. If you have to hide, otherwise out or fight. The next thing I wanted to quickly go over was workplace violence. We're doing a lot of different things with workplace violence right now, but we're just reiterating how you can get a hold of security. And since you guys are all at different hospitals all over the place, most of the time it's pretty much the same. There are two-way radios in all of the hospitals. There are, obviously you can call security directly. You can also dial, well, in our hospital, it's dialing 8. In other hospitals, it's dialing *8. So you just want to make sure and know when you're in a hospital what code or what number you would need to dial and what your emergency codes are to make sure that you could say the right thing. The other thing we have in all of the hospitals that I'm aware of is panic buttons. They're not everywhere. They are in specific locations, and in those departments, you would hit those buttons that immediately call security to the area. So in a code gray situation, it could be used for an assortment of things. But there was a quick list of different things, different ways you can get security if you needed it. We also have Vocera, which is also utilized, which is also nice because that's nice. But I will just say this much, though. I don't know that Vocera truly would be your best choice, because I don't frequently see security walking around with Voceras on. So I would stick with what I know, which is my dialing, my panic buttons, and that sort of thing. The other quick thing we wanted to go over as a reminder is our life safety highlights. These are things you will hear on a constant basis. It can get, I know, annoying, and it is what it is. We often have things in the hall, especially in our small hospitals. It's hard for us to have storage space and things of that nature. But the fact is that we are not supposed to have things in the hall because it's blocking egress. If there's a fire in that building, I've been in a fire in a building, and you got to make sure that those halls are clear. You need to make sure that your doors aren't blocked open, because that door is built to be part of our fire. Will keep the fire away from you. That's what those doors are built for. They're special doors. They're very expensive doors. So keep those things in mind. Everywhere you go, there are pull stations and ways to alert people if there is a fire. If you see a fire in a room or something happens, there are many different things. These are also survey questions. Should a surveyor ask you what RACE means, you will need to know that it's rescue, alarm, contain, and either evacuate or extinguish. If you do use an extinguisher, remember that they're only good for a smaller fire. If it's a bigger fire, you're going to need the sprinklers, you're going to need the fire department, that sort of thing. A fire extinguisher is only, I mean, the rule of thumb is to count it for like a garbage can size fire. You just don't want to count it for a big fire because there's not going to be enough of it to account for anything. But if you know how to use that, maybe you can stop it from getting to a big fire. And to do that, you pull the pin at the top of the extinguisher, aim towards the base of the fire, squeeze the trigger, and then sweep back and forth. And that should eliminate a small fire. Another thing that we frequently get cited for in surveys is too much signage on the hallways or paper signage in the hallways. We cannot have paper anything really in the hallways. It all has to be UL rated. And so we are constantly having to remind people, don't put paper, signs on the hallways. You have to laminate or put in a slip. Also storage. So storage has to be kept below 18 inches from the bottom of our sprinkler heads. So from the very lowest point of the sprinkler head has to be 18 inches before your storage starts. If there are no sprinklers, it's 24 inches. So we all have storage, issues. So we're all going up because there's no way to go out, right? But we want to make sure that we don't go over those limits because that's an instance sighting and it does tend to turn into a pattern. So the only other thing from this list that's very important is the holes in the walls. Those are penetrations. Our walls are just like the doors. They're built special to stop fire. If there are holes in them, that will negate all of what the walls are built for, because fire and smoke will protrude through those holes, and you just need to report those as soon as you see them so that you can make sure the engineering fixes those. The other thing is evacuation. We do not run out of the hospital if there's a fire. We just don't. We horizontally evacuate. So the goal would be, because we have all these walls and doors that are built to take care of fire, we would simply move to the next smoke compartment, us taking our patients with us, move to the next smoke compartment and wait till either engineering or the fire department tells us we can either go back or we have to go out to another smoke compartment. You'll just keep moving to the next smoke compartment as a
I'm not sure what happened. Can anybody else hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
She got booted out, huh?
That's really odd.
Mid-sentence.
That was really strange. Okay, let me share my screen again and I'll see if I can get her back on.
Yeah, I was a second generation.
All right, while she attempts to get back on, I'll keep on moving through the rest of the slide deck. We can come back to her as soon as she, if she is able to get back on. Yeah, that was very odd. All right. So accounting. This is a hanging slide. We just kind of go over what the department is at month to month, where our productivity is at and where our overtime is. Dale reported out for the hospital at large, where we are at, I think he said we're at 102 or 104 productivity and we're at 2.9 or 2.09 for overtime. Our specific department's at 106, so we're doing great. Overtime is much higher, over double where we ought to be. Our goal is to have overtime at 2% or less. We're now currently at 5.08. This is directly a result of several staff members going out on leaves of absences without appropriate backfill, and several RTs that have put in their resignation and sought other opportunities. With that said, we are currently now onboarding considerable amount of people, and that should positively impact our overtime moving forward. It looks like Lorraine is back on, so I'm going to go back to her slide so that she can finish up her presentation. I don't know what happened, Lorraine.
I don't either. All of a sudden, my computer decided it wanted to shut down, and it did.
Okay.
I'm super sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. Seemed like you were talking about escaping, horizontal escape and fire compartments. If you want
Yes.
to.
Yeah, so just real quickly, you just keep moving to the next smoke compartment. Engineering just got done relabeling all of the different smoke compartments, so you know where to go if you're in one smoke compartment. And of course, there's always vertical, or you can always evacuate, but nobody wants to have to take a patient down a stairwell. Nobody likes that, including the patients. So we just do everything we can to stay as close as we can, and they will take care of the fire. There's plenty of things to suppress fire. So I think that was it at this moment, but there's if there's any questions, because it's a lot of information and it's a lot of things we already know, but it's good reminders. So if anyone has any questions, they can always call, or there's plenty of us that can answer. So thank you for letting me come and drop off. Sorry
Absolutely.
about that.
Yeah, not at all. Thank you so much for taking some time out and presenting, Lorraine. We really appreciate it.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Ro-
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get back to ours. All right. Again, just recapping, productivity is great. Overtime is much higher than it ought to be. That overtime should be on a downward trajectory as we begin onboarding new staff members that can backfill and hopefully make up for some of our folks that are on leaves of absences. Another hanging slide, just as a reminder, infection prevention, make sure that you're appropriately doing your best to stop the spread of germs. Whether you know it or not, there are auditors everywhere in the hospital that are looking to make sure that you are doing the appropriate amount of PPE when you go into a isolation room, and that you are doing the appropriate hand hygiene per that isolation upon entering and exiting that room. Respiratory therapy consistently does a great job at this, and this is just a reminder to keep doing what you're doing. RT equipment, just another kind of hanging slide. We run through a fair bit of whether they're Metanebs, ventilators, BiPAPs, LTVs, whatever it is. If a patient is discontinued on any of these products or any of these pieces of equipment, please take the time to do the right thing and wipe down, sanitize with the appropriate hospital cleaner. 9 out of 10 times that will be the purple top wipes. Wipe it down, redress it, put a bag and tag it, and then bring it back up to the equipment room on the 4th floor. There have been some instances where equipment has been bagged, but nothing, either the circuitry had been missing or completely inappropriately set up. So please do take some time to review, because when you need a piece of equipment it is an urgent matter, and we're all relying on each other to make sure that the one that comes before us is setting up these equipment appropriately so that they're ready to go, so we can serve our patients in a timely fashion. So do take your time to do that correctly. Team, so again, another hanging slide. We have our schedules out on Team, and it is ultimately your responsibility to ensure the accuracy of the time worked, so it's appropriately reflected in your time card on Team. Moving forward, we are going to make more reminders about signing off on time cards at the end of payroll. This is to ensure that you are taking a look at the hours and accuracy of what you have put in for the pay period, and that you ultimately agree with what you see. Obviously, we do our best with auditing for now, but moving forward, we definitely need to have more participation with signing off on these time cards at the end of pay period. There are a substantial amount of you that do so already. And for those that need some assistance, we will be reaching out to them on a case-by-case basis. So just keep that in mind. We just closed out payroll this week, and there were several instances where people had yet to sign off on their time card. So just a reminder, and there'll be more emphasis on this moving into the new year. Unit-based practice council. I saw Danielle get on to the call. So if you'd like, Danielle, I can hand it over to you for updates on unit-based council.
Yeah, we're just working on right now. We had given Brian a kind of a packet for everybody to have. I know we just did NICU NRP training over at CLC Center, but we kind of created one to just look off of for when you feel you need it, when you want to do charting, that kind of stuff. Then we're working on like a pediatric asthma protocol, because a lot of hospitals have it and we don't. So we've been kind of working on that. We printed out a bunch this past weekend of like ideas from other hospitals, and then we're going to kind of see what will work for us, and then try and get that approved. But that's it for now. And then we have our holiday party on Friday. The times changed though. It's at 7, not 6. And then I will post my address on Tiger. I just didn't want it all over the department. So but that's it.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for all the work you and Carrie do on this, Danielle.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Okay, moving forward, employee satisfaction. We're going to go over one of the selected questions from the My Voice survey for last year, the one that we just completed in June, July. Month by month, we go, or I select some of the questions that I got scored, or the department myself got scored particularly low on, to solicit some opinions or some ideas from you guys, to see what improvements I can implement in order to make things better for all of us. So with that said, this was one of the questions that was scored particularly low, and it was specifically, disagreements in this work setting are resolved appropriately, not who is right, but what is best for the patient. And I guess, of course, my feeling is, from my view anyway, things that are brought to my attention, I address pretty quickly, I think, and with appropriate resolutions. Nevertheless, this is a question that I scored relatively low on, and just want to solicit, the collective opinion of you guys that are on right now, to see what it is that possibly could have solicited such a low response to this question, and what I could do to potentially make things better in this particular arena. And there's no wrong answers, so don't all clamor at once.
I don't feel like this was ever a problem, so I don't really have anything to say.
Fair
I don't
enough.
agree with it, that it was low.
Thank you, Danielle. Yeah, it's really hard to say. I feel as though maybe historically, between departments, there were more instances of friction, perhaps, but it seems as though that has resolved more or less. So that leads me to believe that there's some interdepartment disagreements that may be going on that I'm not aware of or hadn't been. But I see, Emily, you took yourself off mute. Do you have some insight, perhaps?
Carrie brought up a good point. Some of our issues might not even just be with each other as coworkers, but also with patients and care and stuff. And sometimes I feel like, especially lately, we've been treating family members versus the patient, and that gets frustrating. And even though it gets brought up, it doesn't get figured out, like, because, if you go down the rabbit hole of ethics, it's a long road. And so anyways, if we're talking about what's best for the patient, we don't always do what's best for the patient based on family's input. So also there's disagreements with coworkers, and sometimes the union prevents things from happening. So not you. So any case, that's my 2 cents.
That's actually some very good insight, Emily, and thank you, Carrie, by proxy, for answering as well. I agree that when it comes to patient care, especially end of life, it can be extremely legally tricky. And while we as clinicians, practitioners, have an idea of what we believe is best through our eyes, the dynamics that happen within a family obviously don't always sync up. This is something that is extremely difficult. There is no easy way to broach it, but what I would suggest, if you find yourself in an instance where this is happening, where you feel as though the patient themselves aren't being cared for, or the plan of care is something that you don't believe truly is in the patient's best interests, we do have an ethics committee. And you can always, during rounds or through Tiger, reach out to physicians and say that, based on such and such details, you think that the plan of care for a particular patient isn't necessarily the best one for this patient, and inquire about an ethics consult, and they can bring an ethics committee to bedside that can be the genesis of a conversation between the providers, the physicians, and the family, to hopefully more quickly bridge that gap of where the family wants the patient to go versus where we think the patient ought to go. But again, nothing that is super straightforward or simple. Insofar as co-workers that you disagree with, certainly this is a represented facility. We, staff members in respiratory therapy happen to be all covered by SEIU, and within that context, I do my best job in order to investigate instances that are brought to my attention, and the process is sometimes long, and this ultimately is a safeguard for staff members. And it can be frustrating. It can seem like it takes too long to see a meaningful change. But this is, honestly, it's a protection to ensure that all staff members get their fair representation. So while that's not a great answer when there's something acutely happening, just know that I personally will make sure that, I investigate and move forward to the best of my ability, anything that's brought in front of me. And in time, what we hope for is the best case scenario for everyone, for the employee in question, for our department at large. But just if you can remember, honestly, the union is there to offer protection for you guys. But again, thank you very much for all your input and suggestions. And hopefully I can do better and provide you with some more resources. With that said, the Pulse survey, the My Voice survey, the one that we do in between the big My Voice surveys in the middle of the year, is coming up, opening November 29th through December 20th. You should be getting an email about this by closer to the end of this week. So please take some time and fill out that just so that I can get an idea of where there are continual areas of improvement. I ultimately just want to make things better for you guys. Scanning scores. All right. So again, another hanging slide. We go over month to month. I audit charts and charges and scanning scores daily. Overall, overwhelmingly, you guys are doing great. This is just a touch point to keep in mind for you all that this is a patient safety goal. Honestly, you want to make sure that you're giving the right medication to the right patient at the right time. That's why we put such a high emphasis on that. And that's why I check it. And like I said, you guys overwhelmingly are doing very well. So keep up the good work. Positions, lots of positions coming at us. So we have should be currently posted, or if not soon, a per diem RCP2 night shift, a full-time RCP2 night shift, and we have a couple of full-time temps that will be onboarding with us very shortly. Vitali is out at CLC. Sydney will be with us starting not on the 21st, but the 12th. I'm a little dyslexic, it seems. December 11th, she'll be starting over at CLC, and I'm working with her to plot out a schedule as we speak. So circling back to our overtime, this will definitely help out in the gaps that we are experiencing, and hopefully will allow for our core staff to get a little bit of a break. There's only one kudo on the kudo board. I know we all have a lot to be thankful for, but sometimes we don't have the time to remember to put it up there. Marta was the only one, so she'll be getting a gift card in her mailbox. It was thank you for covering the hospital while we were doing the E-Bus Bronc. So thank you very much, Marta. With that, I will open the forum for any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys might have. Going once, twice, something in the chat box. Oh, you're very welcome, Marta. Okay, well, if there's no questions, thank you all for your time and attending. And here is to December. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you,
You got
Brian.
it.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.